Okay, so the next thing we're going to do, I'm going to get this model ready for some documentation to be able to put the different views of this model onto some different sheets. I'm doing this before we go and start fitting out the inside, because some of these views that we're going to create might help us to do the fitting out inside. So the first thing I'll do is I'll create another couple of styles that might suit drafting or documentation a little bit better than what our modelling style is set up at the moment. So I'll get you to open up your styles dialog box. If you've been in here before, you might have moved away from in model, so just click the little drawing of the house there and that'll take you to all the styles that are currently in your model. The one that we've been using so far is the one that we earlier called modelling. Now, what I'm going to do from here is I'm going to start setting up another couple of styles which might, be better for presentation and drafting. I'm going to drop down the name list here in the drop down box, and for the drafting one I'm going to go straight to the straight lines. So click on the straight lines and select this one, the first one, which I think is called Straight Lines 01 Pics. Now I'm going to edit that just before we actually use it. So while we're in that there, we might click on the edit, or even to leave that one alone, what I might get you to do is click this button here, which is create a new style, and we might call that drafting. This can be our drafting style. So while we're in the drafting, oops, that's that one. Hang on, I thought I'd change that. I'll just go back and change that again. I thought I'd gave that a new name. I must have pressed escape or something. So call it drafting and press enter. That's the best thing, and we can update that style. Now I'm going to, while drafting is selected at the moment, I'll go to the edit tab, and on the edit tab I'll start off here with the edge settings button, and all I'm going to do here, it looks like, I just want to make everything entirely clean and thin lines. So I'm going to get rid of the halo effect. The halo effect, what the halo effect does is any objects hidden behind or in 3 dimensions behind another object, the object in the front will provide a bit of a halo and cut out some of the edge lines of the objects in the back. So we'll actually get rid of our halo effect, so there is none of that. That's the only thing it looks like we need to change on edge settings. We'll go to the face settings then, and in face settings everything looks fine because it's only displaying in hidden line mode anyway. There's no colours or patterns or anything showing, so that would be good for drafting. At this stage I'll say it'll be what we'll look at for drafting anyway. Although we will want textures a little bit later. Yeah, we might go for the textures. So we'll change this around a little bit, but what I'll do is I'll get you to change the back colour. So the front colour looks like it's already as white as it can be, so we'll go to the back colour and just change your picker to RGB. This is doing a save on there at the moment, so it's slowing up a bit. So if you drop down the picker and change that to RGB, you can then use your sliders to slide everything up to the far right hand end, so everything should be 255, 255, 255. That'll give you a plain white colour. So that might be the best setting there. So I've done the face settings. The next thing I'll do is go into the background settings. Nothing needs to be changed there. We don't want any background, we don't want any sky, and we don't want any ground. So that'll be all set there, right. So when you see these little circular arrows up here on top of the preview, that means that you haven't saved that style yet. So if you just click in there, you've now updated your style called drafting. Okay, so we'll go back to the select tab again, and in the select tab we'll drop down, let's do some other ones. We might go to sketchy styles, but this is where I'll let you guys play. But if we go to sketchy styles, there's a whole range, not actually the ones I was after. Might go to assorted styles, and some of these, you can play around with any of these styles that are already set up. I'll just pick this particular one, and that gives me some sort of a presentation style. And I'll just leave. I won't change that at all. That looks that suits my purposes just nicely. So I'll leave that style there. I'll go back to the little home button, which is in model, and we've got our drafting style, we've got our modeling style, and we've got our presentation style. So this other one, the one that we started before we edited drafting, we can select that, then right click on it and delete. Yes. Okay, so that'll just say we've got these other three styles to select from. So the one that we're using for presentation, that looks great for a perspective view. So I'll just close the styles dialog box here for the moment, and what we'll do now is we'll start setting up some actual views. Now the first step you've got to do is you've got to go up to the View menu, Animation, Add a Scene. And once you've added that scene, it'll generally be called Scene 1. So once you've added that scene, you could right click on it and come down to the Scene Manager and select Scene Manager. Now where it says Name, I'm going to name that one to be Perspective. So that'll be our perspective view. Press Enter. Make sure all of these ticks are left checked, and then I'm going to add some more views. So I'll add another scene. This one I'll come down into the name and change that to Floor Plan. Okay, and press Enter, and then I'll update that. I'll do a north elevation. I'm just picking some views as examples. Oops, what have we done here? We could change name. North elevation. Press Enter. And I'll do also a west elevation, and then I'll do a section. So that'll be the views that I'll set up. Okay. Oops. Okay. So I think we can close the dialog box there now. As long as you pressed Enter for the last one, you can just close that dialog box and you've got all those views. Now the first perspective one, I'll change back to perspective, and I'll have a look at that style looks right, and I'm going to zoom right up and fill in the screen with a view that might show off the building, something like that. Shadows are turned on. The time of day, shadows, etc. that I've picked look like they portray a good story. I'll bring some more shadows down there like that, but that would be fine. And once you've got your view looking exactly the way you want it to look, just go back up to the tab here of the title of the view and right click and update it. If you miss that step, then when you change out of this view and come back to it again, you won't keep all the latest changes you've made. So it's most important that you update your view. I'll show you what I mean. I can now work on that view in some other direction, and when I've finished working on that, I just come back to perspective and click on perspective. Okay, so that's one thing. I've done something else here earlier, which is thrown something out, but I'll show you what that is all about in a second. Okay, I might stop the video there, give you a chance to catch up to that point.